So it took me a little bit longer than I thought it would to get the Hunter raid armor. I needed to get the Hunter up to light level, and as you can tell by my voice, I'm very congested and I'm very sick. So bear with me here. The main thing is I finally got through that raid on my Hunter and I got some of the armor pieces to drop for me. More specifically, I got the cloak, which is the main piece that I wanted to work with for this build. So just like I did on the Titan video, I'm going to be going over each individual armor piece first and just giving you my general thoughts on it, and then at the end I'm going to be making some fashion with it. If you just want to skip my general overview on these armor pieces, go ahead and just use the skip links I have left for you down below, and that way you can just skip to the fashion. But not before you hit that like button and subscribe button. Okay, so here we have the Resonant Fury mask. Now, some days I really like it and some days I don't. The helmet itself is pretty cool underneath, but I think the main thing that bothers me are all of these like little chopsticks right here, which kind of resemble the Iron Banner helmet with the like little flap right here. It's just a little bit weird. And the biggest gripe that I have with it is going to be the Ronald McDonald smile right in front of the helmet. Like, this dude looks like he's on a Happy Meal box. But yeah, so that's why I don't really like it most of the time. But underneath, the helmet is pretty cool, and I do think that the helmet is going to be not used too often. I think it's definitely going to have some use cases, but most of the time it's not going to fit with a whole lot of your gear. One good thing about all of the Resonant Fury armor is that it shades pretty well, so that's not something you'll have to worry about. Now, one of the main highlights about the Resonant Fury armor is going to be the moving pieces, and the Hunter actually has a lot of moving pieces. So one of those pieces is going to be on the gauntlets. They have these little flaps that just sway with the wind almost, and I actually really like the gauntlets. So the gauntlets again shade pretty damn nicely, and I think the gauntlets aren't going to be too difficult to work with, although I do think whenever you start getting into bulkier chest plates, you're going to have a whole lot of clipping going on right here underneath the armpit. But other than that, it's a pretty like simple shape, nothing too crazy. We have some like shoulder pads here, and I think people are really going to like the arms. So here we have the chest plate. It's very similar to the Titan one where we have the same moving pieces, although the Titan one has it around the ribs. This one actually resembles more the Titan helmet, doesn't it? Like, you can see the little pieces that go up here. You can kind of see the shape of the Titan helmet in this chest, and I didn't notice that before. That's pretty cool. But yeah, I love this chest plate. I think people are going to use this quite a bit. You do have to build around it, so think about using like Deepstone Crypt raid armor, maybe some of the Braytech stuff, some of the Aikilo stuff, like the, what was it? That one activity during Warmind, Escalation Protocol. All of that Escalation Protocol armor might fit with this stuff. So you do have to plan around using this armor, but I do think people are going to use it quite often because it's pretty freaking cool. One thing that I will mention is this piece isn't part of the chest plate. You are just seeing that because of the cloak that I have on, which I will talk about a little bit later. Okay, so now let's talk about the legs. So I really like these, but they are a little bit thick up here, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But you do have to plan around that with different chest plates and arms and all of that jazz. But the rest of it is freaking cool. I like this cloth area that comes down here around the boots. That's a really nice design. We have some more moving pieces that come out of the shins, which is really cool. The back is pretty simple and pretty easy to work with. And again, we have some like layered cloth here, which looks awesome. I like these legs a lot, and I'm excited to see what people are going to make with them. Okay, so here we have the piece that everybody's talking about, and the reason why you're probably looking at this video in the first place, because you probably want to make this work. Now, my favorite piece is either between this one or the legs. I can't really tell, but this one is definitely a contender for my favorite piece of the armor. But we have this giant spine creature-like thing that's just moving around doing its own thing, and then we have a nice short cloak that kind of looks like a supervillain should be wearing it, or like a Sorcerer Supreme, Doctor Strange looking guy. So yeah, this cloak just kind of demands attention, and you do really have to build your whole entire look around it. You can't just make this cloak work for you. You have to work for the cloak. And that's kind of what I did with my look, but we'll get there in a second. But yeah, I really like it, and like I said, it is a little bit hard to work with, and only certain designs will work with it. But if you're patient and you get it down, you'll make something amazing with it. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about my look here now. So I decided to only use the cloak on this one. I did also try to use the legs because I also like that part of the armor set. But let's talk about it. Most of the shaders that I'm using here are Descendant Vex Chrome to give me that like rusted look, except for on my cloak. And the reason I didn't use Descendant Vex Chrome on that was because it gave me like a gray color, which I didn't really like with everything else. And it did have like a whole lot of rust right here on the like spine creature thing, which I did like. But yeah, it was just that like gray color that I wasn't really into. So yeah, I decided to use copper and blood instead because that like maroon blood red color matches a lot better with the rust on my armor set. So that fixed that. And the spine contraption here still looks like it's beat up and rusty. So yeah, that's a win. For the helmet, I decided to use the Virulent mask. Virulent? Virulent? I don't know how to pronounce that. Someone can correct me in the comments if you want. But yeah, I decided to use this because of all of the little like bolts that like light up around the mask. I thought those looked pretty good, and they match the bolts that I have here on the Steeplechase gauntlets and on the Scorned Baron vest. So yeah, that's why I liked all of the synergy between those three. And not only that, I did try to use a lot of other helmets, which there are a lot of choices. If you've been around Reddit and Instagram, you've seen people use things like Graviton Forfeit. I've seen some people use the Pathfinder helmet. One helmet that I would recommend that you use if you don't have this one, I recommend that you use the Helm of the Ace Defiant. It gives your head like a very long shape, which matches really nicely with how long the cloak or how tall the cloak goes up here. So yeah, that's really good, especially if you're trying to go with the whole supervillain vibe. As for the Steeplechase, the reason I chose these was one, it looked really creature-like, which is what I was kind of going for with the whole like rusty swamp monster thing. I don't even know. It looks really good with the whole spikes coming out of the shoulder thing, and I thought that these matched perfectly with the straps on the Scorned Baron chest. So those two just synergize very nicely. And from there, we're going to go down to the Twisted Echo Strides. Now, I had a lot of choices for the legs as well, but I ended up going with these just because they did give me a little bit of cloth up here towards the top that kind of blended in better with the Scorned Baron vest. One of the choices that I almost used was going to be the Siege Break Strides. The reason I almost used these was because of the spikes on the Scorned Baron vest. They have like these giant triangle things right here, which kind of matched the shape right here. But I thought it was a little bit too much cloth on the left side, so that's why I opted not to go with them. But still a very good choice if you don't have the Twisted Echo Strides. And the reason I chose the cloak instead of any other of the like raid armor pieces here was because I think that this is going to be the main armor piece that everybody tries to use from this set. Everything else can kind of be blended in with other armor pieces, like the Deepstone Crypt raid stuff, or maybe some of the interlace stuff. There are a lot of choices for that, but I feel like the cloak is a little bit difficult to work with, or like instead of the cloak working for you, you really have to work all of your armor pieces into the cloak. So I decided to take that challenge upon myself. And if you're wondering what ghost I was using, I'm using the Rust Punk shell, which I believe is from the Eververse store, and I'm using the invasive species Sparrow. That way we can have a little bit of rusted stuff going on here as well to match the set. Okay, so that's going to be it for me today, guys, but go ahead and leave me a comment down below and let me know your opinions on my Hunter set. And also let me know your opinions on the whole entire like raid armor set in general. So I still have 2 of these videos left to make. So first of all, get subscribed so you don't miss those. I'm going to be making one more for the Warlock. And the second video I still have to make is going to be kind of like a big group video featuring your fashion. So go ahead and go down to the link below to join my Discord, because I will be featuring fashion from there. And if you're already in my Discord, don't worry, you don't have to submit again. We already had a fashion contest around this, and I will be using a lot of those looks. And just one more reminder that I do have a Patreon now, which will let you get some personal fashion advice from me, opinions, and it'll get your name at the end of every long form video like you're about to see now. Thank you very much to everybody that is named here. You guys are great, and you guys make it possible to make these videos. Buy all of the ornaments for silver, that way I can show you guys and do reviews. Go ahead and click on any of the videos popping up in your end card now, and as always, stay beautiful.